Welcome to an Anomalous Aberration. Warning, this content is intended for mature audiences only due to graphic content, adult dialogue, and poor research. Feel free to check out our social medias linked on www.anomalousaberration.com, and thank you so much for listening.
Hello. Hi, my name's Jen.
I'm Dorothy.
Welcome to the podcast.
This is an Anomalous Aberration.
We're your hosts with the most.
And y'all watch the TikTok because you'll see what happens when you get bad reviews. No?
Yeah. Absolutely. So refreshing. Alright, today I'm going to tell you about the Hinterkaifeck murders. You ever heard of it?
Heard of it? I have never heard of this one, so I'm excited.
Oh, it's terrible. Hold on, I have to rearrange my whole life over here. Okay, because I can't see. This document is open in another tab for offline editing. Editing from this tab is suspended and changes from... What the fuck? Oh, I'm stupid. That's what the fuck. Okay. Yeah, 8 pages. Hopefully I can read this.
So a deep dive.
Moderately. I could go way deeper. Some people have gone deeper. Deep. But I didn't go that deep. But I'm going to tell you about it. So Hinterkaifeck was a farmstead. Hinterkaifeck being the name of the farmstead in Bavaria, Germany. Kaifeck was like this village, town, community, commune, whatever. And I guess Hinter kind of means like behind or out back of, or, you know, kind of like that. So Hinterkaifeck, the name of this farm, basically meant behind Kaifeck.
Okay.
Or past Kaifeck, or, you know, along those lines. So it's about 43 miles or 70 kilometers north of Munich, Germany. And the people who were living on this farm were Andreas Gruber, Cecilia Gruber, their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, and Victoria's children, little Cecilia, who was 7, and Joseph, who was 2, and a maid named Maria Baumgartner.
Baumgartner.
Yeah.
What a name. Baumgartner.
Baumgartner.
Baumgartner?
B-A-U-M.
Oh, I thought you were saying Baumgartner.
She might have been a Baumgartner. I don't know what she did in her free time.
Pardon me. Baumgartner.
Actually, Baumgartner.
Gartner. Sounds German.
Make it sound angry. German, but angry. Yeah. So we're in the way back. The time period we're at here is like the early 20s, 1922-ish, in that neighborhood. So not the way back, but the way back. Well, I guess that's 100 years ago, isn't it?
It's a long ways enough back.
Yeah, 100 years. All right, so the Gruber family was not especially well loved in the area where they lived because the father or the head of the household, the guy Andreas Grubner?
How do you say it? Gruber?
Gruber. Yes, I don't know why I'm putting an N in there.
Dr. Gruber.
Yes. Mr. Dr. Gruber. Now, Andreas, he was kind of a dick. He was abrasive and he was abusive to his wife and his children. Apparently so much so that no other child of his survived to adulthood other than Victoria. And Victoria, it was well known in the community and documented that, trigger warning, that her father was raping her. Or that they had some sort of incestuous relationship. Not at all.
Gesundheit.
So either way, she was a child, obviously, at some point in her life, and she couldn't have given consent if she wanted to. So either way, she was sexually abused. A maid had actually caught Andreas in the act at some point, and gone to the police, and both Andreas and Victoria did jail time for that. So Victoria also went to jail for being sexually abused by her father.
I'm confused, right? She was the victim.
Yeah. I don't,
Now, if they thought it was incestual back in the day, they probably would have put him in some sort of asylum.
Possibly.
But They locked her up?
They locked her up, I think, for a pretty short time. She served less time over it than her father did. But yeah, they both served time for incest.
So she probably said it was rape, and he probably said it was consensual, and...
I don't know.
I've never heard of the victim going to jail.
No, me either, but
What year was this?
1920-something.
In Munich.
Munich, Germany, or nearby, yeah. I think it was 40 miles north of Munich, but something like that.
That's twisted.
Isn't it? Like...
I can't wrap my mind around her going to jail and she was raped or molested.
I know, and I think that's like... So can you imagine not only having something like that happen to you and already having whatever kind of weird feelings you have about it, but also having your town or whatever, the police, whoever, is the big wig there, also say, yes, you also committed a crime and need to go to jail.
I'm mind blown.
That would be devastating.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Indeed. So at some point, Victoria had been married to a guy named Carl Gabriel, but Carl was involved in World War II and was killed in action in 1914. His body was never found. So Victoria and Carl did have a daughter named Kazelia. That was the younger Kazelia that I said is 7 at the time of our story. Victoria was later linked to another man named Lorenz Schlittenbauer. After the death,
mouthful.
Isn't it? After the death of his own wife in 1918, he may or may not have been the father of Victoria's youngest son, Joseph, the one who I said is 2 at this time that we're speaking of. Victoria claimed that it was Lorenz's son, but Lorenz believed that the child was actually that of Victoria's father, Andreas, because of their
happenings and goings-ons.
Yes. So Lorenz actually did confront Andreas about it and tell him that he believed that the son was his, and it didn't go over well because Andreas basically threatened Lorenz with a scythe. We know what a scythe is, yeah?
Yes. It's like that Children of the Corn weapon, right?
Yeah, I think Grim Reaper,
Grim Reaper.
the thing he's walking around with. A sickle or a scythe?
Sickle, yeah.
Yeah.
He went Children of the Corn on his ass, didn't he?
Yeah, so I guess Lorenz had enough of that. I don't know.
More than enough.
Right. Lorenz was one of, if not the closest neighbor there to the Gruber's property, and some rumors said that he wanted to marry Victoria, but that Andreas wouldn't allow it, or that Victoria wanted to marry Lorenz, but Lorenz wouldn't because there was an unhealthy relationship between Victoria and her father, Andreas.
So it's all based on who you talk to.
Pretty much, yeah.
He said, she said.
Exactly, and there's a lot of that in this whole story. Either way, no marriage took place between Victoria and Schlittenbauer, Lorenz. But Lorenz did end up paying child support for Victoria's son either way. Yeah. So Lorenz, at some point, he goes to the police and he says, hey, I'm pretty sure that Andreas is actually the father of that baby that Victoria had. And so the cops go and scoop him up, and he's in custody for a while, but then, oddly enough, Lorenz withdraws his statement. He's like, you know what, I take it back. I'm the father. So why though, right?
Why did he even worry about taking it back? Did he do it for her?
I think it's because the Gruber family was actually, maybe not that you could tell it, but they were actually better off, financially speaking, than Lorenz was.
Oh, they paid him to change his story.
Exactly.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Money talks, right? So that's, that's what he later claimed, basically, is oh no, they paid me off to shut up about the whole incest thing. Which, I don't know, everybody in the town knew already, so that there was a thing there. Alright, but anyway, so Lorenz actually did get married. He married someone else, and as I said, he was the closest neighbor, so that might have been a little awkward, I don't know. The Grubers had a maid that had quit recently. She quit because she had come to believe that the farm was haunted.
Okay.
Yes.
It's reasonable. I mean...
Right? She kept hearing noises in the attic, like footsteps or voices, and she felt like she was being watched when she was, going about her business there. Yeah. So, there was a snowstorm, and Andreas goes outside to do some chores, check on the critters and whatnot, and he notices, footprints in the snow that go from the woods to his house, but he didn't see any that went back from the house to the woods. So, not like somebody had come to visit, not like maybe somebody had come home. Who knows,
Yeah.
Wind blows over footsteps, and sometimes it's hard to tell what's what. Maybe he's, super awesome at looking at footprints, and...
or they left walking through their own footprints.
Maybe. Reverse, all the way to the woods. I don't know. I've seen footprints in the snow too, and I've also seen where there should have been footprints and there weren't because the wind has swept over it, or whatever. So I don't know. But anyway, he was a bit sketched out by it because apparently he took it seriously enough and thought, I've seen this, I know what this is, to the point where he mentioned it to some neighbors and his family, and they were all kind of like, nope, we haven't been out anywhere. So he searched the property, and he actually didn't find anything amiss, nothing unusual. So then that same evening, right, that same evening he hears noises in his attic. So I guess that the maid wasn't completely batshit crazy after all. The one who quit because she kept feeling watched and hearing things in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
it was that dude living up there, her lover, like that other story.
Right. Whether or not he actually went up to check out the attic after that is up for debate. Some people say he did, some people say he didn't. But the people who say that he did said there wasn't anything. And the people who say he didn't, I don't know. I guess, why would you bother to check out spooky noises in your attic? I don't know if I would either. If I heard a bunch of banging around my attic.
Am I alone? Do I have moral support?
Right. Are you coming with me?
I'm not going by myself.
No, you've got to come with me, because, if something gets my ass, I want it to get your ass, too. All right.
Thanks, Bean.
Look out for a friend, man. Come on.
She's looking out. All right. This thing keeps smacking this, and I can hear it.
No, it's me. It's me.
Thought it was my cord. I was like, sorry for the noise, y'all.
I'm pretty sure it's me. Okay, anyway, moving on. Regardless, he did mention hearing the noises to other people in the community, neighbors, and whatnot. So sometime later, it's actually March 25th, 1922, a girl and her mother are walking through the woods near Hinterkaifeck, and they come upon Victoria, the daughter, just kind of sitting out in the woods, losing her shit. She's crying, she's all upset. The girl and the mother are like, what wrong with you? That's what I wrote for some reason. What wrong with you? Anyway, and the girl's just all Victoria would say is I need to run away, I gotta get out of here, whatever. So they're trying to help her and console her and whatever, but in the end, Victoria does go back home to Hinterkaifeck. She does go home. Now, mind you, she's a whole ass adult woman talking about running away, and at this point, she's in her mid-30s. Mm-hmm. She can leave. She can leave.
You can't keep her there.
No, she can leave. Go be a nun. I don't know. Well, I guess she had a couple kids. You can't really do that, can you?
I don't know if you're still welcome at the convent after bearing children. That's a good question. Any nuns out there listening?
Isn't that what they did with fallen women? They sent them off to convents and nunneries and stuff like that? Am I talking out my ass? I might be. I do it a lot.
That's what they do in movies. I don't know if that's what they do in real life.
Yeah, true. Okay. So, but anyway, whole ass adult woman talking about running away. So now it's March 30th, and Andreas is out moving about the property, and he notices that the tool shed has some unusual scratches on it. It looks like somebody is scratched around the lock, like they're trying to break in. Particularly the damages around the lock. So the same day, Andreas finds a newspaper at the house that they weren't subscribed to. So, one copy of the house key had also gone missing that day. There were two. Victoria and Andreas had both said that they saw a man standing at the edge of the woods just staring at the house. At this point, like, when they saw him standing there, what they do? Just go,
hey, we got a new neighbor.
and they didn't go, hey, dude, what the fuck are you doing while you're staring at my house? Like, what? They noticed a man standing at the edge of the woods just staring at the house. That's what it says. What the hell? I mean, why do you just leave him there? Do you go after him? Do you shoot him? What do you do?
I've seen poltergeists. You don't go after the guy that's standing outside your house.
Well, what do you do?
Go get my gun and be like, friend or foe, motherfucker.
Friend or foe?
Because if he's in my yard and I don't know him, he don't belong there.
No, true enough, but I mean...
At least yell out, can I help you?
Yeah, definitely.
And hope you don't trigger a psycho to chase you in the house.
But that's the thing, it doesn't say they tried to talk to him or I need more. It doesn't say any more about that, so that's why I'm hung up on that. But anyway, March 31st, Andreas discovers straw strewn about in the attic. Like
straw?
Hay, think hay. Yeah, just kind of everywhere in the attic.
Like a giant nest.
Or, well, you know what rushes were like on floors? They were there to muffle sound. Whatever. It was like the carpet of the old days. I'm talking like 1500s old days, but...
No wonder they all had lice.
Okay, yes. But, so yeah, it could have been he was making a nest, or he, she, whoever had it up there was making a nest, or it could have been to help muffle noise on the floorboards / ceiling boards. What is going on in that room? Why don't you go check it out?
You first, bitch. So
we'll just sit here and ignore it.
Went in there earlier. It's my son's room. There was nothing on the floor but a couple pairs of socks that he's thrown there and a towel. So I'll pick up the towel, hang it, open the windows. Next thing you know, I hear a clack in there. Well, we both do. And I go in and there's a little red fire engine in the middle of the floor. I said, I'm just going to pretend like the wind blew you there, because that's...
Yep.
Debunked.
Debunked. It was the wind. Mm-hmm. Did you pick it up?
No, I left it there next to the sock to see if it would move, because I'm paranoid.
Okay, I still see that next to the sock, so what was that just moved now?
I don't want to know.
Because I still, like...
I don't believe there's anything in there that could blow down.
I don't know.
He doesn't have much in there.
So if we die this episode, you know what happened. It's the poltergeist in her son's room.
Talking about ghosts and you got it excited. Oh. I want to make a nest in your attic.
I want you to make a nest in my basement. Okay, anyway, he discovers the straw in the attic. The same day, Victoria and her mother, Kazelia, the older Kazelia, they go into town to do some shopping and mention to some people that there's been some weird shit happening out on the farmstead. Some shit has been going down at Hinterkaifeck. They just tell, I guess they just go, guess what happened? There's straw in our attic. Mm-hmm. There was a man standing in the woods staring at the house. I guess they wouldn't sound like that from Germany. I'm not even going to try that. Never mind. So that same afternoon, the new maid, because remember the other one quit because everybody thought she was crazy because she kept hearing shit in the attic. The new maid shows up. Her name is Maria Baumgartner. She arrives. Yep. So April 1st, the very next day, little Kazelia, the 7-year-old, she didn't show up to school. That afternoon, a couple of coffee salesmen drop by, but no one greets them. They knock on the windows, doors, and even wander around the property a bit. That's how you know they really wanted to make a sale. They wander around the property a bit. Finally,
we don't live here, but let's walk all over their yard.
Bang on your window and shit. Finally, they assume no one's home and they move on. Okay, but like...
boundaries, people, boundaries.
I don't know, I kind of do want a coffee salesman, though. I wish they'd come to the house and I didn't have to go to the store and look through it. Like, they could just bring me some samples. That would be okay. I mean, I don't want you banging on my windows or anything, but... Or wandering around my house like my dog will bite you. The cat definitely will.
I don't want to be inviting nobody up here just to try and sell me stuff at my door, so.
But anyway, they assume no one's home. They move on. Later that evening, one of their neighbors passes by, and he's like, yeah, it's all quiet there, but there's smoke coming out of the chimney, and it smelled like burning fabric. Yeah. So he also says... He also says he also saw a figure lurking around there, and when he saw him, he shined a flashlight at them, and he had the heebie-jeebies, and he just noped out. So, okay, he's like, oh yeah, everything's quiet and everything seems fine, but there's like a burning fabric smell coming from the chimney, and there's some person lurking around who gave me the heebie-jeebies. But everything's fine. Okay.
Everything's fine because he was a pussy and he was getting the fuck out
exactly.
of there.
He go check that room. That's what he did. Right there. So April 2nd, I guess it was a Sunday, and it was noted that none of the Gruber family was present at church, which was unusual because they were apparently always at church. On that same day, yet another neighbor named Michael Poll, we'll say P-O-L-L, Michael Poll, notices that Hinterkaifeck is like eerie quiet. There's no one stirring on the farm. There's no animal noises coming from the farm, which I guess they had cows. I know they had a dog. I don't know what the hell else they had. But anyway, farm. Quiet farm. Weird. On the 3rd of April, the mailman, he's, delivering mail as mailmen do, right? He notices that their mail is like piling up. He sees that the kitchen door is open, but he doesn't actually see or hear anyone. He just assumes that everyone's made themselves busy doing shit around the farm somewhere. Okay, hold on. I said he sees the kitchen door is open. The mailman does. Is that their front door?
I would imagine the mailman would go to the front door.
Yeah, so how does he see that their kitchen door is open? Or, okay, hold on. We might be talking like, I'm not thinking right. Maybe it's a detached kitchen. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because this is in the 1920-ish era.
Or the kitchen could be like on the side of the house and have its own door and then the front of the house.
So that you're not heating the whole house in the summer when you're cooking or whatever. Maybe that's what's going on here. Okay, I just had questions. So, April 4th now, a man who had been hired to repair an engine on a piece of machinery there on the farm, he arrived, goes up to the house. He hears he hears the dog barking there. It's a little dog, like, I want to say it was a pug or something. I can't remember. They did say what kind of dog this was. But anyway,
it was a little fucking ankle biter.
Yeah, a little kick dog.
One of them little ones.
Little dog. And it was shut up in the stable. Which I guess, why wouldn't he bark? He's out in the stable. And he's locked in, and he wants to go bite the mailman. So he knocks, and no one answers. But he does see, like, somebody is out there in the field. So he just assumes it's some dude who's hired to work there as well. He's out there doing his work. It's not his business what the hell this guy's here for. He doesn't go check.
There's a lot of strange people out in their yard.
It seems that way, doesn't it? So he completely ignored the guy in the field, the guy who came to repair the machine. The engine on the machine. He completely ignored the guy in the field, and he went ahead and just did the repair. So after he's done working, the dog that was locked in the stables is now tied outside, and he noticed it had like a wound or a cut on its face. This little dog had some sort of injury. So he then goes back to the door, and he starts knocking, and still there's no answer. The repairman's name, by the way, is Albert Hoffner. Monsieur Hoffner. Albert Hoffner has finished his work at Hinterkaifeck, so he leaves after being there for like 5 hours, and he decides he's going to swing by Lorenz Schlittenbauer's. Is that right? Schlittenbauer's? God, help me.
Small liquor.
Yeah, his place. And he tells the guy what he saw or didn't see, mainly that the residents weren't around, and apparently he told some other folks as well. No one seemed terribly alarmed because the farm still seemed to be like plugging along and doing, things that farms do.
Farmy things.
I don't know, farm shit, right? Lorenz, on the other hand, he's kind of like, what the hell's up with that? So he sends his 2 sons over to have a look. He sent 16-year-old Johann, I assume, and 9-year-old Josef, I also assume, to try to get up with the family. The boys, however, didn't have any luck. They came back telling him they didn't see anyone or anything. So So the same day, it's still April 4th, Lorenz, he gets together with Michael Pohl, who was, I think, the I Smelled Burning Fabric guy, and some other guy named Jacob Sigel. So there's 3 men, and they're like, okay, let's go over there and see, what the hell's actually going down. So the 3 dudes get there, they find the barn door is wide open, they go in and, apparently instantly, find the bodies of Andreas Kazelia, Victoria, and little Kazelia.
Oh, not the baby.
Murdered in the barn. No, she's the 7-year-old. Well, she's still a baby. But they find them murdered in the barn. They were hacked, chopped, and slashed to death, and then sort of, stacked up and had hay thrown over their bodies.
Something was making a motherfucking nest.
Indeed. A people nest out there.
A people nest.
It's not good. So Lorenz decides to dig in for some unknown reason to the pile of bodies. And he starts moving them around and unstacking them and moving the hay about. And the other two dudes are kind of no, what are you doing? And he says he's looking for his son, which I guess might make sense. I mean, my pile of bodies, I don't know if my first instinct would be to shuffle them around. At all. Even if my kid might have been in there, because I don't know if I'd want to see that. I don't know if I want to be the first person to see that. I don't know.
Maybe at the same time, if he's not there, you have hope that he's still alive.
Yeah,
type deal.
I guess.
You know what I mean? It could go either way. You could be panicking and be like, please don't let him be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess everybody handles those things differently, but at the same time, he had also been like, no, that's not my kid.
Yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah.
The naysayer.
Yeah, that's not my kid. But now it's his kid, apparently.
Maybe he knew it was his and didn't want the responsibility, so he just said,
But he was still paying child support.
Yeah. That's true, so he was taking responsibility. I don't know, that's odd.
It's unusual. I don't know. But anyway, he
did it.
He does not find Joseph in the pile. It was noted that Lorenz did not seem freaked out to be moving around brutally murdered dead bodies. It did not seem to affect him in the way you'd expect that to affect someone. Which, I mean, how does that affect someone?
I don't know. I hope I never have to feel that pain.
I can't imagine myself moving around hacked up bodies.
I hope I don't ever snap one day and I have to move a bunch of dead bodies. It would be most regrettable.
I guess give me a call and I'll see what I can do to help you out.
When I give you that code, I told you what you do. I'll send you the code and you just bring over an extra shovel and a bag of lye.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah, we'll make some great soap.
Some great soap.
Great soap. Am I having a Fight Club moment?
Yeah.
That's from?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking the same thing. I was about to say we don't talk about Fight Club.
That's right. Rule number 1. Okay, so he doesn't find Joseph in the pile, and it was noted that he didn't seem freaked out. I don't know, maybe he was just on a mission. So he then goes to the back door of the house. The missing keys, remember I said there was a key missing that Andreas had talked about, was hanging from the back door, right from the lock. So he goes in and he does find 2-year-old Joseph murdered in his bassinet. The maid, who just got there the night previous to her death, was also found dead in her room, and all her things were still packed. She hadn't even been employed there long enough to unpack and put her things away. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. We got a real Looney Tune or monster on our hands here. Something, right? All right, so he was viewed as being very calm, very together, despite having dug through a pile of bodies moments earlier, and then finding the little boy that he was supposedly digging through the said pile of bodies looking for. He just wasn't hysterical, I guess. No emotion like Amber Heard on the stand? Maybe. Isn't that her face? She looks constipated. Anyway. So Lorenz stays at the farm, and he sends the other 2 dudes. Lorenz stays behind at the farm. He didn't have any reason to stay. It's not like he was going to hold pressure on somebody's wound. There's no reason for him to stay. But he does, and he sends the other two men, Michael and Jacob, to go get the police. While Lorenz is there waiting, he decides to feed the pigs, which is extremely practical, I guess. Farms gotta be farmed. I don't know. The local police showed up like, why would you feed the pig? You don't have other shit on your mind? You're just gonna slap the pigs real quick.
I'm getting weird vibes from this dude. I told you he did it, right?
Right. The local police show up, and later police from Munich and also just random people from the community also showed up. So basically, people from all over the area were all over this crime scene. I mean, people were up in there eating the Gruber's food. Like, they're just gonna, have a snack while they're there, I guess.
Well, fuck, they ain't gonna eat it now.
Well, and not only that, but like... Nobody, true enough, I guess, but nobody really liked
Waste
this
not,
family.
Want not.
These were not beloved members of the community, which, I mean, that's no reason for them to be murdered or anything, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, people weren't there because they cared what had happened to this family. People were there to watch the drama unfold, basically. That's all. It was a live entertainment
like a big
type
show.
Thing. Yeah.
There was other ones that were like that, too, like the Lizzie Borden case. The whole town showed up and just trampled all over the entire crime scene. They didn't contain it, and they didn't come investigate the crime scene until I think they said 2 days after they went in and took the bodies away.
Oh, God.
They didn't come back.
Good job.
And hundreds of people had already stomped all over.
Yeah, didn't one of the uncles come and stay the night and everything even that night in the house?
In the room.
Yeah.
Where the woman...
Yeah.
And then there was the other one was the Villisca axe murders. Same thing.
Oh, gosh.
The whole town just came like it was a spectacle.
Well, and like, okay, I think even at that time, that's still a mess. But don't forget, they didn't have, like, DNA was not a thing. The forensics were not remotely what they are now.
No.
So it was basically, yeah, there's blood on that weapon. Type that, I can see it.
We can speculate that it's hers or his or...
Yeah, exactly. But, like, fingerprints, I don't know when fingerprints became a thing. I'll put, like, a date in up here. But I don't think for either one of these particular cases that would be a thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. At least I know, like, as far as databases, that was, like, what, the frickin' 80s or something?
So back then, whatever you do, don't look guilty.
Yeah, pretty much. Just have a sandwich.
Because whoever was guilty
and feed the pigs.
looking was the one they were going to blame it on.
Yeah. So no valuables were stolen from the house as far as anyone could tell. Like no money or jewelry, and there was a fair amount of both around. It wasn't like tossed or ransacked or anything like that. The only thing said to be missing was whatever may have been in Victoria's wallet or purse because it was found empty on her bed. And we're going to come back around to that in a minute. Strange as well was the fact that it appeared someone had hung around after the murders. They had carved meat from a slab that was in the cellar. They had eaten all of the bread. They had cared for the animals, and they had tried to keep up the farm. So, like, they just chilled there for 3-4 days, whatever it was.
It was Lorenz.
But wouldn't his wife and kids have noticed him missing? Or coming home covered in blood, or...
He probably told that bitch, shut the fuck up.
Maybe. He'd be like, you're next.
She probably already knew he was crazy. Here's some dead bodies, let me sift through them. And then feed the pigs.
Oh, God, right? So, human waste and scraps of food were found in the hayloft in the barn. So either way, it looks a lot like the murderer was lurking about either before or after the murders, maybe both.
Well, they said there was a man up in the yard.
Right? It's unsettling as fuck. In the hayloft area, some of
Cannibals.
some of the roofing was loose, loose enough that whoever was up there was able to shuffle it aside so they could peek out and look into the yard and the house from the hayloft in the barn. So that's creepy as hell.
So whoever it was or whatever it was sat up in that window. I see you.
No, not even the window. They sat in the hayloft of the barn, and the boards were loose on the roof. Loose enough that they could shuffle it aside just enough to peek through.
Peeking out the roof, not even out the window.
Exactly.
I've seen a horror movie like this one time.
Extra deeply creepy. So investigators believe that Andreas, Kazelia, Victoria, and little Kazelia had been somehow led or drawn to that barn, one by one, and also killed one by one. So basically it would have gone something like, oh, Andreas thought he heard something, he went to see what was up, and he was murdered. And then the older Kazelia was like, what's going on, why the hell is he taking so long, or heard something as well herself, and then went to see what was up. And then the little girl was like, why have they left me alone so long, I better go join them or check, and she was also killed as well. Probably not in that order, but something along those lines. Andreas and his wife Kazelia were both in their pajamas, suggesting that they were either in bed or preparing for bed at the time that they were led to the barn. Victoria and little Kazelia were both dressed in regular daytime attire, like they were, ready to do the damn thing throughout the day. Mm-hmm. That's how they were dressed. So that would suggest that they were either killed there or lured there earlier because neither had dressed for bed yet. Mm-hmm. The maid and little Joseph were both killed in their beds, presumably after everybody else was already done for. It was noted that one of their cows was kind of wandering loose around the farm there, and that was unusual because, why would you just let a cow wander through your yard, I guess? The speculation was that perhaps that cow was the lure. Somebody went, oh, why the hell's that cow wandering loose? Go out there and get that cow. And then they happened to see 20 minutes later that nobody had gotten the damn cow, so they went out to do it, and then the next person. So that's possible, I guess. The autopsy found the murder weapon to be a mattock. A mattock, if you don't know, is similar to a Pulaski or a grub axe. Yeah?
What's a grub axe?
It's like a regular kind of axe on one end, and then it's got the blade, the blade is like this on one end. On the other end, it's like this.
Okay.
Yeah. If they're just words, or, picture a tool with a handle similar to that of an axe, and at the other end, there's a heavy head with, on one side, a flattened horizontal, and then on the other side, a flattened vertical. So a sort of axe on one side and an adze on the other? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The autopsy found that Andreas and the older Kazelia were both struck several times with the mattock, as was Victoria, who had also been hit with a blunt object and was thought to be strangled as well. This is going to hurt, because we're going to talk about the little girl. Little Kazelia had many gaping circular wounds, a shattered lower jaw, and had probably survived for several hours and pulled out handfuls of her own hair, probably out of despair. The bodies were covered with hay. The maid, Maria, was killed by 2 blows with the mattock, and little Joseph, the baby, by 1 blow to his face. Maria was covered with her own sheets, and Joseph was covered by a piece of his mother's clothing. So the killer not only threw hay or tried to cover the bodies that were out in the barn, but did the same with the bodies that were in the house.
Couldn't look at what he did after he did it.
Bing, bing, bing.
Guilt.
Mm-hmm. Guilt implies to me that they knew
the people.
Those people.
The victims.
Yeah.
That poor little girl and that baby.
I know.
Poor everybody, but
ain't none of them deserve to be murdered.
Ones when kids get killed.
I know.
Hits hard.
So remember the tool shed that I mentioned earlier, that he said there were scratches around the lock and it looked like somebody had tried to break in? Mm-hmm. The mattock that the Gruber family had in their shed was missing and was not found, but it was used in their murders. The farm was torn down a year later, 1923, and that mattock was found beneath a false floorboard next to their fireplace. Andreas had made that mattock himself.
Oh my.
Yeah. So there weren't many actual leads as to who had done this or why someone would do this. The police initially suspected robbery, but as I said, there was nothing really missing, jewels or money or anything like that, as far as people knew. But they did interview traveling salesmen, craftsmen, vagrants, and just, people from around the community and nearby. When they realized that there were large amounts of money still in the home, they kind of abandoned the robbery theory. But now, okay, one article said her like purse or wallet or whatever it was found empty on her bed.
Right, I was getting ready to ask you about that.
But Victoria had recently actually emptied her personal account, and she took 700 marks. I don't know if that's a lot of money or not. I am assuming so. And left that to the church. And then the remainder of her personal account, that money was found at the farm. So what was in her purse or wallet or whatever that was found empty? Or what wasn't in there that it was found empty? Did she have, like, more money that somebody possibly took out of there? If the money that she emptied out of her account was there?
It all seems really personal to me. Like,
Yeah.
you want to put the mother's dress on top of the baby, that to me is big ding ding ding, that it's really personal. Covering also the rest of the bodies, like we said, indicates guilt.
Yeah, but why would the Lorenz guy, why would he care to do it? Like, why would he give a shit? I mean, they're paying him money to shut the hell up. You know?
Pardon me.
But at the same time, I guess he could just be like, these people are terrible.
I really just think it was him. I mean, why the fuck's he going out there feeding the pigs?
Yeah.
Did
It's weird.
Did he get the farm after they died?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know who that went to. Because I don't know if they had any other family or what. And it doesn't actually say, like, what happened to the farm after, other than that it was torn down in 1923, which is, like, what, a year later.
And why the fuck they hurt the poor little dog?
I know. That's really rude. Well, maybe the dog got in the way, or...
Children and animals.
You know, a lot of times those little dogs will sleep up next to you or something. So maybe you just wrong place, wrong time. But they
Maybe
left the dog alive.
one of those whacks came down and hit the pooch.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He just picked up a stray blow.
But after they were already in there dead when the dude was working on the machine out in the yard, though. So who the fuck was the dude in the yard? Did they interview him?
Nobody knew who he was to find him to interview him.
Okay, we got some weird shadow people shit going on then.
Right?
They come up there. They started out as shadows, and then they turned into people as they got closer to the house, and then they went in there and they whacked everybody, covered them in hay.
All right, so for a while after the murders, people, of course, were still suspicious of Lorenz. Because he seemed to have knowledge of, like, details, you know what I mean, that you probably wouldn't have known unless you were a axe murderer. Yeah. And not only that, but just his demeanor, some comments that he made, people just thought it was weird. And this article that I was reading, it says that immediately after he found the bodies in the barn, that he unlocked the front door with a key and entered the house alone.
When the key missing?
And like when I was reading the other article, I just told you that they found the key hanging in the lock of the door.
Now, why did he have the key? He's remarried. I get it. He's a neighbor. He lives next door or close by. Would they give him a key solely because he said he was the father of the child for them?
Well,
I don't understand. Like, why does he have a key to their house?
I don't think he had the key. I think the key was hanging in the door. And people just went, oh, he had the key. And he was like, no, the key was already there in the door. You know what I mean? So, which is the actual case? I don't know. But, yeah. He definitely did go in and, like, disturb the whole crime scene, like, all over the house, though. All over the house, all over the yard.
Yeah, if there had been any evidence, he probably trampled on it.
Oh, definitely.
Let me dig through this pile of bodies here and see if my 2-year-old son's in here.
Right. So, another suspect, let me see if I can find him.
Personally, I think
there
I'd
we go.
see those bodies and my ass would scream and run out the door and go get help. I don't think I could stay there and dig through them.
I'm not digging through them. I'm just not. It may be enough just that, like, to move stuff around enough to see, is anybody alive in here? But other than that, I'm not going to be shuffling things around. I'm not going to be moving people around.
I'm not even going to do that, because what if the motherfucker that did it to him still in there?
No, I don't know. If there's a chance somebody's in there bleeding to death, I don't know. I might have to figure that out. like poke everybody with a stick. Are you alive?
It depends on if I knew the people too. I guess.
Complete strangers know I'm out.
No.
I'm sorry. I'll go call 911 for you, but I'm probably not digging around and playing in your blood. Now, if it's my house, my family,
I'll go check.
I'm gonna be losing my shit up in there.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
But Lorenzo knew everybody there, but he was still cool with digging through.
Yeah, and he kind of
Or Lorenz, sorry.
Lorenz, and as far as I can tell, there was no love lost between him and Victoria apparently, and he hated Andreas.
Oh, him and
for all
Victoria
intents
were
and
still
purposes.
getting it in. They were still getting it in.
I mean, maybe. But I mean, I can't see him being that panicked about them. Understandable. But the one he's like, oh, I'm looking for my son. Then when he does find him, he's not freaked out when he's in the house and figures that out. So, I mean, it's definitely a whole weird thing. Another suspect was...
Unless this Lorenz dude is just not very bright at all.
He could be a dim bulb. Who knows? So you remember I told you that Victoria was married to a guy named Carl Gabriel, right? Mm-hmm. He died in World War II. As far as we know. What if he didn't? What if he didn't? So he was supposed to have been killed in Arras, France, I guess, in December of 2014. 1914. Very recent. We're going very recent. During the First World War. Did I say World War II? Yeah, the first one. Anyway, they never found his body. So, people, of course, would speculate that maybe he didn't die in the war. Maybe that's who they saw up against the woods. Maybe that's who was chilling in their attic. There was a chance that it might have been her husband. But why? Why wouldn't he just be like, hey, I'm back, Why?
He came back and he was a little touched from the war and he saw that she had a baby and he was like, hey, that ain't my baby.
Maybe, yeah. Because if he died in 1914 and that kid's 2 in 1922, odds are good it's not his. I think even the daughter was actually born after he had left for the war. So, the 7-year-old? Yeah. Which, I mean,
so he just comes back
not long after,
and let's just say he were to come back from war. Here's a 7-year-old, here's a 2-year-old. Take it or leave it, buddy.
That he just snapped. But why? I mean, okay. Even then, why would you, you've already been gone that long, since 1914 to 1922. Why do you give a shit after that long?
Maybe he loved her, and he couldn't wait to get back to her. And that was all she had to hold on to, and he snapped.
But it took him, how many years? 8 years? To go, oh, you know what? The war's been over for a while. I think I'm just going to take my time before I go home.
Maybe he was
to this woman I love so much.
Maybe he was in a hospital recovering or something. Give the brother the benefit of the doubt first. He could have been in a nut ward or something for a while.
They should have kept his ass in there then. Shit, he wasn't done yet. He wasn't done.
Maybe he went crazy after the war, got put in the nut house, and then he escaped and was like...
Maybe.
Axe murder in time. Maybe. I'm speculating highly. Highly. No, I don't know. So I think it was Lorenz.
Maybe. I kind of do too, actually. It was also speculated that maybe it was the coffee salesman. Why? Bet you didn't buy my coffee. Fuck y'all. Die. You and your whole family. I needed to sell this Colombian dark roast.
Too much caffeine, guys. Too much caffeine.
Maybe that was it. I should not laugh. This is not funny.
No, but you gotta make it lighter.
Lighten the situation a bit. Then there was a guy named Peter, I don't know if it's Weber. He was named as a suspect because he worked with some guy named Joseph Betts. I don't know. As laborers, they worked together and they shared a chamber. Apparently, Weber spoke of a remote farm called Hinterkaifeck. Kaifeck. I keep wanting to say Kaifeck. Like the Kaifecta.
Trifecta?
Exactly.
Damn fly.
But anyway, Weber only knew of one couple that lived there with their daughter and her 2 children. It's likely that he knew about the issues between Gruber and his daughter. And Betts testified that Weaver had suggested killing the old man to get the family's money. But once again, they weren't robbed. So that didn't really pan out. Then there's the former maid, the one who had worked there. Her name was Crescens Rieger, I think. We're going to go with that. Crescens Rieger. She was the one who heard the stuff in the attic, the one who quit, right, in the nick of time, apparently. She suspected that some brothers named Anton and Carl Bitchler. Yep. Bitchler had committed the murders.
Bickler.
Is it Bickler?
Bickler.
Bichler. Anton helped with the potato harvest there, and he kind of, knew his way around the premises. And Rieger said that Bickler talked to her often about the Gruber and Gabriel family. He suggested that the family ought to be dead. And the maid also emphasized in her interrogation that the dog who barked at everyone never barked at Anton. The little dog. In addition, she reported speaking with a stranger through her window at night. She never mentioned that before. Oh yeah, by the way, there's some strange person outside my window talking to me. But she mentioned somebody in the attic. I just think it's convenient that after the fact, she's like, oh yeah, I talked to some weird dude out my window.
There's just too much weird shit going on here.
Yeah. Basically, she believed that this stranger was Carl Bickler, the brother of Anton, that she was speaking to out the window. And she thought that they could have killed the murderer together, along with George Siegel, who worked there. He was the small engine repair guy, I think. And they knew about the family fortune, which once again was still there.
Nobody was robbed.
Yeah, exactly. So then there's the Thaler brothers. And mind you, this is the same woman, Crescens, also says that she talked to him at night through the window, and he asked questions about the family, but she didn't answer those questions. So the Thalers claimed to know which family member was sleeping in which room, and stated that they had a lot of money. Once again, it didn't pan out that the money was stolen or anything. So then there's a guy named Paul Mueller. And he was the only He was the only suspect in a murder of a Massachusetts family. And apparently this guy may have, who knows, killed a bunch of people around the country. And the Hinterkaifeck murders bear some similarities to this guy, Paul Mueller's murders in the United States. Whether or not this guy, he was a German immigrant, yes, but whether or not he was times lined up just right for that, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever tried looking at census records, but people jump around a lot, but it's really hard to say unless you have some sort of manifest where they were when. So, did he? I still go back to the one guy, what was his name?
Lorenz.
Lorenz. I still go back to him because he just seems, I don't see the reason, but at the same time, we know that he didn't get along great with Andreas in the first place. There probably wasn't any love lost, like I said, between him and Victoria because he just was so eked out by the fact that she was there with her father, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he just snapped. Maybe. A lot going on there with strange people in the yards, and right.
Or maybe they said there was a strange person in the yard to throw the scent off of them. You don't really know.
Maybe.
That Villisca Axe murders ones that I'm working on is a lot like that too. These experts start comparing. Pardon me. A couple years ago, they did a book. And they start comparing murders that happened in or around the same area. Mm-hmm. Initially they thought it was this person that committed the murder. They had 12 suspects. Big old list. It could have been this guy or it could have been this guy. Thank God, DNA and all today.
Yeah.
To narrow it down, because if we were still operating like that, it'd be a hopeless world.
I'm surprised they ever solved anything. I'm serious. Even now, with DNA, it's still tricky. Like, I've been in your house a lot. I'm sure there's some of my DNA around here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It does not mean that I killed you if you turn up dead tomorrow. You hear that? I didn't kill her. It was whatever's going on in there.
Yeah, I've been watching that. It freaked me out for a minute. It's the window doing it, though, so don't worry.
Oh, I see something moving, yeah.
The book on Pat's
Is that what it
nightstand,
is?
the
Like
wind is
pages are
turning the
flopping?
pages. It fucked with me.
Okay.
So in case you guys don't know, I have probably 2 or 3 somethings that walk around in here. One is a one-eyed orange cat that is not mine. Watched it go right through my door. The other is an old lady in a moo-moo.
I want a moo-moo.
Yes, I seen her. Okay. She looked right through my soul. Like, what the fuck are you doing in my house?
Right through my soul.
The other thing, I've not seen. I don't know what it is, but it likes the boys' bedrooms. But it's 3 different things. That I know for sure.
Hopefully it's just a practical jokester little kid or something. Playing with a fire truck and a sock. I don't know what they're doing with that damn sock. I don't want to know.
I saw this meme the other day and it said, every man should be embarrassed to look back and realize he lost his virginity to a sock at one point in his life. And we'll close with that.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.